The USS Gerald R. Ford just left the Middle East, America's newest aircraft carrier, $13 billion, the most advanced warship ever built. It couldn't stay 10 months. Why? Because a missile that costs $1 million can sink it. And the economics of that equation just changed naval warfare forever. Here's the math. An aircraft carrier is the most expensive weapon system humanity has ever created. The USS Gerald R. Ford cost $13 billion to build. $13 billion. That's more than the GDP of 70 countries. But that's just construction. Operating one costs $7 million per day. Fuel, maintenance, aircraft, weapons, supplies, $7 million every single day. The crew is 5,000 people. Pilots, engineers, mechanics, cooks, doctors. Training them takes years. Decades of institutional knowledge. You can't replace that overnight. One carrier battle group includes destroyers, cruisers, submarines, supply ships. Total cost? $20 billion steaming together. And it takes 10 years to build a replacement. The Ford started construction in 2009, commissioned in 2017. You can't just make another one quickly. This is America's ultimate power projection tool. Park a carrier off any coast, and you control that region. For 70 years, nothing could touch them. Carriers were untouchable. Not anymore. Now let's talk about the missiles that changed everything. Iran's Khalij Fars, China's DF-21D, Russia's Zircon. Anti-ship ballistic missiles. Cost? $1 million each. Some cost $2 million. The most expensive ones are $3 million. Compare that. $13 billion carrier, $1 million missile. The math is insane. Here's what $1 million buys you. A 35-foot missile, solid fuel rocket, maneuvering warhead, terminal guidance radar, mobile launcher. The launcher is a truck. Costs $500,000. Hides in tunnels, mountains, forests. Moves constantly. Satellites can't track it. Launch time? 5 minutes from order to firing. The missile is airborne before anyone reacts. Flight time? 7 minutes. The missile leaves the atmosphere, comes down at Mach 10. That's 7,600 miles per hour. Faster than anything built to stop it. And here's the key. You don't launch one. You launch 20, 30, 50 at once. Saturation attack. Do the math. 20 missiles costs $20 million. You're attacking a $13 billion target with a $20 million investment. That's a 650 to 1 return if you succeed. Even if only one missile gets through, you've won. Let's talk about defense, because carriers aren't defenseless. They have incredible protection, multiple layers. Outer layer, F-18 fighters. They patrol hundreds of miles out, intercept threats before they get close. But they can't stop ballistic missiles in space. Middle layer, Aegis destroyers, SM-3 interceptors. These can hit missiles in mid-flight. They're designed for this. But here's the problem. Each SM-3 interceptor costs $4.3 million. $4.3 million to stop a $1 million missile. A carrier battle group carries maybe 40 interceptors total, spread across multiple ships. Now, Iran launches 30 missiles simultaneously. You have 40 interceptors. The math gets ugly fast. Let's say you achieve 90% success rate. Incredible performance. You stop 27 missiles. 3 get through. You just spent $170 million on interceptors to defend against a $30 million attack. And 3 missiles still hit your carrier. The economics don't work. The defender always loses this equation. And that's assuming 90% success rate against maneuvering warheads at Mach 10. In reality, the rate is probably lower. Inner layer, close-in weapon systems, phalanx guns, last-ditch defense. They fire thousands of rounds per minute at incoming missiles. But these were designed for subsonic cruise missiles. Something flying at Mach 10? It's in range for maybe 5 seconds. Not enough time. Now here's where it gets worse. Let's talk about what happens if one missile hits. It doesn't need to sink the carrier. It just needs to mission kill it. Hit the flight deck. Aircraft can't launch or land. The carrier is useless. Hit the island superstructure. Command and control destroyed. Communications gone. The ship is blind. Penetrate the hull below the waterline. Flooding starts. Damage control teams scramble. Even if you save the ship, it's heading home for repairs. The Ford just left after 10 months because it needs extensive maintenance. And nothing even hit it. Imagine if a missile had. Repairs take months, maybe a year, at a shipyard that costs millions per week. Meanwhile, you've lost your power projection in that region. The enemy won. And here's the psychological impact. Every sailor on that carrier knows they're in a $13 billion target, knows that missiles are out there, knows the math. That changes decision-making. Carriers now stay farther back, 600 miles from Iran's coast, out of range of shorter-range missiles. But that reduces their effectiveness. Aircraft have less range, less time on station, less impact. Let me show you the real-world impact. During the current Iran crisis, the U.S. has 3 carriers in the region. None of them enter the Persian Gulf. They stay in the Arabian Sea, in the Red Sea, 600 miles away. Why? Because the Gulf is 100 miles wide, shallow water, surrounded by Iranian territory. Iran has hundreds of mobile missile launchers. They can fire from anywhere: mountains, tunnels, urban areas. The carriers can't risk it. $13 billion versus an environment full of $1 million missiles. It's not cowardice, it's math. The USS Ford lasted 10 months on deployment. That's exceptional, but it couldn't stay in the actual combat zone. It stayed far back, safe distance. And even then, the wear and tear was extreme. The ship needs months of repairs now. This is the new reality. Carriers can't operate close to advanced missile threats anymore. Now let's talk about China, because they're watching this very carefully. China has the DF-21D, called the carrier killer. Same concept, ballistic missile, maneuvering warhead, designed specifically to sink carriers. Cost? About $2 million each. China has hundreds. Taiwan is 100 miles from mainland China. The Taiwan Strait is 130 miles wide at the narrowest point. If the U.S. sends carriers to defend Taiwan, they're sailing into the same equation. $13 billion ships versus $2 million missiles. China could launch 100 missiles simultaneously. $200 million attack against multiple carriers worth $50 billion total. The defenders would need hundreds of interceptors. At $4.3 million each, the costs explode. And even with perfect defense, some missiles get through. The risk is enormous. This is why U.S. naval strategy is changing. Carriers are moving to support roles, staying back, launching aircraft from safe distance, not sailing right up to the coast like they used to. Here's what this means for the future. The era of carrier dominance is ending. Not because carriers are bad, they're still incredible weapon systems, but because the missile technology caught up. For 70 years, carriers had no real threats. Nothing could reach them. They could park anywhere and project power. That's over. Modern missiles changed the equation. Countries like Iran can't build carriers, but they can build missiles. And those missiles can keep American carriers away. That's called anti-access area denial, A2AD. Make it too costly for carriers to operate in your region. It works. The Ford just proved it. America's newest, most advanced carrier couldn't stay in the region. Too risky. Now multiply this across the globe. South China Sea, Persian Gulf, Eastern Mediterranean. Any place with modern missile threats. Carriers have to stay back. Their power projection shrinks. This doesn't mean carriers are useless. They're still valuable for operations against countries without advanced missiles, for sea control in open ocean, for supporting operations from distance. But the days of parking a carrier off a hostile coast, those are done. The economics are brutal and simple. $1 million can threaten $13 billion. Launch 20 missiles for 20 million, and you force the enemy to spend hundreds of millions defending. And even then, you might get through. This is asymmetric warfare at the strategic level. It's not about matching the enemy's carrier fleet. It's about making their carrier fleet too expensive to risk. Iran did it. China did it. Russia did it. And the math works in their favor. The USS Gerald R. Ford leaving the Middle East after 10 months? That's not weakness. That's recognition of reality. When a $1 million missile can sink a $13 billion ship, you don't risk the ship. This is the new era of naval warfare, and the economics just changed everything.